Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Gamecast Radio Sports Talk. I am Tim Kernan, alongside Mike Freshwater, who is joining us in the Gamecast Radio studios today.
I am privileged and proud, excited, and grateful to be here. I've got a basketball practice under my belt, 2 donuts, and 1 cup of coffee already down, so I'm raring to go, man. I'm in mid-afternoon form.
You know, with all that excitement that you just said, it sounded like you were about to commit to a college or something.
No, just committing to you and Gamecast Sports.
Well, Mike, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Since you mentioned coaching, why don't you go ahead and give us an update on the Altar boys? Of course, you and I cover the Altar boys. You, of course, are an assistant coach, and I broadcast alongside you for those games. But give us an update. We are in the tournament now, just getting started for the boys. 2 games in for the girls, 1 game in for the boys, but just give us a little update on the Altar boys.
Yeah, we were the 1 seed and played what basically is the last seed, unfortunately for them, Greenfield, the Green Wave, and handled them pretty easily, as everybody kind of expected to happen. And so now we get the winner of, well, we get Springfield Shawnee. They beat Thurgood Marshall up there the other night, so that's who we play on Monday. And then if both Altar and Carroll win on Monday night, Carroll has the Polar Bears from Northridge High School. If they win that game, then we will play them next Friday in the sectional final, which should be an interesting, exciting game, as it always is when we play them, especially when you're talking about a win or go home scenario. In terms of some postseason recognition, GCL announced their all-league teams and Coach of the Year. Joe Brand and RJ Greer were first team All-GCL. Gavin Lean, first team All-GCL. Brady Connor was second team All-GCL, and Charlie Ewell got honorable mention. And Coach Coulter was the GCL Coach of the Year.
Fantastic.
Southwest District 15, Division II. Joe Brand was named All Southwest District 15, as well as R.J. Greer. R.J. Greer was named the Underclassman of the Year. They give a Senior Player of the Year, Underclassman Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And R.J. got the Player of the Year honors. Gavin Lean was honorable mention, All Southwest District D15. I think Brady Connor was. I'd have to go back and check on that one. And
That's
then
fantastic.
Coach Coulter was D2 Southwest District 15 Coach of the Year also. So
fantastic.
When you have a good season, you win your league, and you play a tough schedule, and you do things like Joe Brand does. You're going to get recognition. And so all those guys, I think, it's all very well deserving, and we're excited for them and happy for them, and onward and upward.
2 things.
Yeah.
Were you the Southwest District
not.
Assistant Coach of the Year?
Only been that 1 time, and I think you're only allowed to do it once. So I was once, but not this year, no.
And then the next thing I would say, prior to now, maybe Joe Brand was the most underrated player, but I'm glad to see him get some recognition, Mike, because he's just been fantastic.
The Southwest District 15, I'm not going to say it was a surprise, but, guys, I don't know how much, what Joe ended up averaging, what he's averaging right now, 10 or 11,
10,
maybe something like
I
that.
think it's close.
Guys like that don't usually get on the first team of Southwest District 15. It usually have to do a little bit more from a scoring perspective, but they looked at what else he did, and when they noticed he took 21 charges this year, or drew 21 offensive fouls, I think that raised a lot of eyebrows. Coaches appreciate the little things, and when guys do stuff like take charges and
which he does,
rebounded a little bit offensively, especially recover loose balls, which he does. All of that stuff gets noticed, and he was justifiably rewarded for what he's done this season for us.
Absolutely. And Mike, the girls are 2 games in. They defeated Springfield Shawnee in the first round, and then took care of Northeastern. And I thought Northeastern and Shawnee, they had some good players, Mike. They had some girls who could play basketball, but they just couldn't line up with the strength, the height, and the length of the Altar girls. And 2 pretty easy wins for the girls. Yeah, depth, right, without a doubt. And, kudos to the coaches, Chris Hart and Kendall Peck, for developing that depth throughout the season. But you're absolutely right. You nailed it on the head. But they're going to take on Madison in the third round back up at Covington High School on Tuesday. The boys, of course, play on Monday.
Yep.
We're going to cover both of those games. But the girls have looked really good so far. They have not really been challenged. I think they're going to get more of a challenge from Madison, but I think on paper, Mike, if you will, the Altar girls are certainly going to be favored in that one as well. But after that, it's game on. It's going to get really interesting after that. They're going to take on the winner of the Madeira Summit Country Day game that will take place on Monday night. So they'll know their opponent when they win or if they win on Tuesday. And then they're going to head up to Springfield High School as well, which is where the boys are playing right now.
Oh, good for you.
It's a drive, but I actually enjoy calling games there.
Yeah, but just go in there and have, if you have an 8 o'clock game and you come home from there, it's pretty late night.
Yeah. Mike, if they win on Tuesday, I mentioned, of course, they would take on the winner of the Madeira Summit Country Day game. And then they're going to go, they will go to the regionals at that point, and they could possibly face either Waynesville or Versailles. I mentioned the last show, they took on Versailles this year up at Versailles. It was a good game, but the Knights defeated Versailles. But they could also take on Waynesville, who is undefeated this season and ranked number 2, I believe.
Yeah, I've heard that they're pretty good, but the number 1 seed went down last night, and as we talked about earlier, and so that opens the door a little bit wider for Alder probably, but you got to take care of your own business, and it's a very serious part of the year. You can't afford to slip up right now, and I'm sure they'll be ready to go.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You got to be ready to go, and you got to concentrate on what's in front of you. But the girls have looked good. Again, they haven't really been challenged yet. They won 2 pretty easy wins in that first and second round. But yeah, it's going to get interesting from here on out. And
it should. Right?
And yeah, absolutely it should. And that's what as broadcasters, you and I really enjoy this part.
Yeah, we get this far. For the boys, it's a little bit sooner, but still, it's you get 2 or 3 games deep, it starts to get nerve-wracking.
It really does. But as someone who gets to call the games, it's the best part of the year for me. Absolutely love it. But Mike, let's go ahead and jump into college football. And I've said this several times on our shows in the past, but daily, hourly, by minute, everything seems to change in college football. But they've done it again. The college football playoff. It's 12 teams, and that is just for the 2024-2025 season. So that's locked in. It may change after that. There's already discussions of it going to 14 or possibly 16 teams. But it was 6 plus 6, they called it, Mike, but now it's 5 plus 7. And that means that they've dropped, I believe, the Pac-12 out of it. They don't get an automatic bid because basically they're down to 2 teams. So now you're going to have 7 at-large bids. So again, it seems like the whole thing changes daily, not just with the college football playoff, but college football in general.
Oh, it does. It changes. Hopefully it slows down a little bit in the off season. There is another window for the portal, but they keep monkeying around with this framework that they've got for the new playoff system, and it's kind of hard to keep track of exactly what they're doing. But I know you'll get into it probably. Well, I don't understand. Them, for lack of a better way to describe it, leaving Notre Dame on the outside looking in when it comes to the top 4 or whatever it is.
Well, they're giving the automatic bids.
Okay.
To the conference champions.
Correct. And so if Notre Dame were to go undefeated, they would not get.
They would be a 5.
It'd be the 5. Yeah. Well.
Which.
I don't know.
I've never really agreed with the whole automatic bid thing for the conference champions. I mean, I know they do it in basketball as well, but I just feel like if you're going to really pick a champion, you pick the 12 best teams and let them go at it.
There's a pretty good chance that
usually it is.
The conference champions are in the top 12. Probably not going to miss that. I mean, and there's a way of ranking them 1 to 12, right? Now, why can't you just do that? 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed. If Notre Dame's the 2 seed, based on whatever criteria you want to use, whether it's a ranking, a rating, a formula, whatever, why not do it that way? That's what it is. It's a tournament, and you seed them and you go, right?
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
If you can give the automatic bids to the conference champions,
Sure.
but then, as you just said, seed them after
Seed
that.
'em.
What
Correct.
would be the problem?
I don't know.
So
I'm sure that they talked about it. There's a reason for not doing it, but I can't think of one.
me neither. And of course, the conversation comes up as well about Notre Dame being irrelevant. It just,
Well,
I laugh when they do that.
Yeah,
because they're talking about it. Therefore, you're making Notre Dame relevant.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you just want to get in it, right? You don't care
Absolutely.
if you're 1, you don't care if you're 12. You just want an opportunity to get in it and play and have a chance, and that's ultimately the bottom line.
Yeah, you have to. And, in order for Notre Dame to remain relevant, you've got to get into that tournament. You have to make the playoffs because it's going to affect recruiting and all sorts of things if you don't.
Yeah,
if you don't make it.
Absolutely.
And, of course, you can follow a lot of that. They do have a website, collegefootballplayoff.com, college football playoff. Yeah. You can go out there, and it changes by the minute, Mike. So, anyways.
Yep.
I do. Before we move on a little bit, Mike, though, and maybe give our updates on Ohio State and Notre Dame, but I wanted to get your dream Final Four in college football. What would be your dream Final Four teams?
If you're talking about like next year and what I know about the teams that are coming in, I'm going to put Notre Dame in there only for your benefit. But Ohio State, Texas, and Georgia, and Notre Dame. That would be my dream four. I think Texas, Ohio State, and Georgia are going to probably be ranked 1, 2, and 3, or probably are already ranked 1, 2, or 3 in the all the polls and stuff that you have out there. Probably the top 3 betting favorites to win it all. Notre Dame has a lot of promise and obviously a ton of interest nationally. So that'd be it for me. I think I'd like to see maybe Ohio State and Georgia. I'd love a rematch with them, and then Texas and Notre Dame could play, and then the winners. I think that would be a good foursome.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily going on who I expect to be there.
Right.
But what I would love to see would be Georgia, Notre Dame, Alabama, and I'm going to throw kind of a wild card in there, and I'm going kind of maybe a little bit on the pass, but I'd like to throw Florida in there. I just think it would be really exciting to have those big names in there. And, of course, you could add some others. Texas is a very good one. I think USC, if you throw them in there, if they ever, get back to an elite level, I don't think they're there right now. I think they're going to struggle next season. But, a lot of interesting possibilities.
Yeah, if you look at it from that perspective, I might change it a little bit. I might go with Dream Final Four, Ohio State and Michigan, and assuming that Ohio State beats Michigan somehow or they lose when they're in there. But Ohio State and Michigan, USC would be fun to see them in there. I still like Texas for some reason. I just feel like they bring a ton to the table, and Texas has always been one of my top 5 or 6 favorite college programs, and
certainly historical.
So, yeah, very historical. I'm thinking out loud. Georgia's obviously won it within the last 5 years. Ohio State has not won it in the last 5 years. Texas has not won it in the last 5 years, maybe 10. Notre Dame has not won it.
30 years. Come close a few times.
Yeah. Alabama has, so it'd be fun to pick 4 teams, maybe later on to pick 4 teams that we would like to see in the Final Four that haven't won it in the last 10 years, or do something like that, right? And see if we can get some new blood in there. But I would love, I'm not predicting it, but I would like to see Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, and Notre Dame next year. That would be my dream right there, my dream Final Four for next year, maybe even really for all time. To be honest with you.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be hard on the college players. It's going to be a gauntlet. You're going to be playing probably in some cold climates in deep December, and I don't think the Ohio State players will mind at all bringing in, let's say, Miami or Florida State.
Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun.
Even like in Arizona or something like that, if they were that good. Southern California team. But let's not get too feeling too sorry for those players. They're basically professionals now, and they're getting paid. So
It's crazy.
that's the way of the world, right?
It certainly is. Yep. So let's go ahead and jump into maybe some Notre Dame and Ohio State updates. I'll start with Notre Dame, Mike. Their class of 2025 class is currently ranked number 1. I think some of that is due to the fact that they've already gotten verbal commitments from 17 players.
Wow, it's a big class.
It is already. They're going to, at least from what I've read and from what I've heard, they're going to try to make this a rather large class, like up around 25, 26, maybe 27 players. So we'll see what happens. But most recently, they got verbal commitments from Elijah Burris, who, if you remember, Plaxico Burris played for, I think he played for the Steelers and the Giants, maybe one other.
Yeah, I think he got stabbed in a nightclub too or something.
Oh, Lord. But I've seen some film on Elijah Burris. He's not a real tall wide receiver, but boy, he's talented and he's fast. So it'll be interesting. He's committed verbally, at least right now, to Notre Dame. They also got a commitment from Sean Terry. He's kind of a dark horse, I would say, not real tall as well. Plays a lot of slot, wide receiver, 5'11", 180 pounds. And then they got a huge commitment from an offensive lineman, Matty Augustine, and he's an offensive lineman, 6'7", 290 pounds, and he just really recently started playing football, Mike. His main sport was basketball, so you know he's agile and is very athletic. But the coach up in Connecticut, I believe, I can't remember the name of the school that he goes to, but he plays in a Catholic league up there, and started playing football and just absolutely loved it, and of course excelled. And a lot of teams were after him. I think Ohio State even was after him, Alabama, all the big names. But Notre Dame got a verbal commitment from him. The jewel of the class is Deuce Knight, of course, a 5-star QB out of Mississippi. And he's doing a lot of recruiting on his own, so hopefully he can bring in some additional players. And also wanted to mention Al Golden, who is the defensive coordinator of Notre Dame, was signed to a 4-year extension on Notre Dame, and that made a lot of people in the Notre Dame community happy because he's done a heck of a job on the defensive side of the ball. I've mentioned to you several times, Mike, that I thought that Notre Dame's defense is elite. They haven't gotten there yet with their offense. So hiring him and keeping him on staff, you never know what's going to happen. These coaches can leave at any minute, but that was a big deal, I thought, getting him signed.
Yeah, very experienced guy with, obviously a lot of talent, able to kind of commit to him and get him to focus on what he has to do. I think that's a big deal for them, and he is a really, really good coach.
He is, and they've also taken, he was the defensive coordinator / linebackers coach, and I think they even hired somebody on for that as well. So he's really going to be able to sink his teeth in it. Notre Dame's pouring a lot of money into everything. They're showing they want to win, which is great to see from a fan's perspective. So spring practice will begin on the 7th, so that's coming up. 7th of March.
Man, that's crazy.
And on a side note, there were a lot of people who were complaining last year about the NBC broadcasters, Jack Collinsworth and Garrett. Well, Collinsworth has been replaced. Garrett will stay on, but they're going to have Dan Hicks, who is a really good broadcaster, and his wife, Hannah Storm, actually went to Notre Dame. So he'll be doing the Notre Dame games, which I think is good. I don't think Jack Collinsworth is necessarily bad. I just don't think he's ready for that job yet. There's just no excitement.
I don't know if he's a quality. He's quality enough to be like on the national level.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe he could work for a team and do their games or something like that. But he's more of a studio or on the field kind of reporter guy.
I agree.
Not something that you would want on your play-by-play or even as a color commentator. I wouldn't think.
Well, and NBC has Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge who do the night game.
Very good.
Yeah, those two are very good. They will also do some Notre Dame's when
Noah Eagle, what is he, about 23, 24 years old?
he's a young guy.
Ian Eagles,
he's got a good
Ian Eagle's son.
Yeah, he
Sound
does a
exactly
good job.
Ian
They do
Eagle
sound
and
alike.
and his dad, or Ian and Noah, sound exactly alike, and Jack Collinsworth and Chris Collinsworth sound very similar. It's crazy how it's one thing to look like somebody, but to sound like them is to me kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't think Joe Buck sounds like his dad,
No,
but
not
he
at all.
probably hasn't
Not at all.
smoked enough cigarettes to sound like his dad.
And we're going to see. I get to go to a dinner Wednesday or Thursday night, where Tom and Marty Brenneman are the guest speakers, and
that'll be good.
They're the first time they've ever appeared together anywhere, but I don't think they sound alike.
No,
right?
no, they don't. Yeah. They have a different
But
sound.
Collinsworth and the Eagles sound exactly alike.
You're absolutely right about the Eagles, but yeah, again, Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge could do some Notre Dame games as well if they deem that kind of the marquee
Correct.
game of the night.
Right.
So, Mike, anything going on with Ohio State noteworthy? I know that they have a small class so far for 2025, but still very good, ranked number 4.
Yeah, they got some high-profile prospects in there. The one I think that interests me the most is the quarterback from Ohio, just up the street, actually, from Bellefontaine. Tavion St. Clair, he's from Bellefontaine, Ohio, 6'3", 210 quarterback, 5-star guy. His national rank from a position perspective is 3. So he's something that interests me. I always like it when high-profile Ohio guys end up at Ohio State. When I look at their list, they've only got a couple. They've got a tackle out of Toledo that's coming, and they've got a big linebacker, a big fast linebacker out of Archbishop Hoban from Akron, Ohio, that's coming. Those guys always excite me, the Ohio guys. Right now, it's only like 8 or 9 dudes that have committed, but they're still recruiting, like you said. I don't know if they're going to bring in 20-plus dudes or not, but I think Ohio State's shown that they're more than willing to use the portal to backfill their roster spots. And so it's a combination of having a really good, maybe not gigantic, but a really good list of recruits, and then using the portal to backfill for people that maybe didn't work out previously. But they've got some high-profile guys out there. And again, I like the quarterback out of Bellefontaine. They've got a couple cornerbacks, an edge rusher, a couple tackles. So excited about that class. I think there's still a lot more to come. I don't know if we talked about it last time, but another big development for Ohio State was they lost Bill O'Brien to Boston College not 2 or 3 weeks after he signed his contract. But they picked up, like a day later, they picked up Chip Kelly, who resigned as UCLA's head coach to take Ohio State's offensive coordinator position. There was some conversation that he was going to get fired at UCLA anyways, but he beat USC in the last game of the season and then won the bowl game. And then now all of a sudden, they weren't talking about firing him. But I don't know why he's leaving there with them coming to the Big Ten. I don't know why he's leaving. Maybe he's tired, like we've talked about before, of being a head coach and having to deal with all the NIL and draft portal nonsense. And so he's coming to Ohio State, who's obviously a very, very experienced offensive guy, and it's exciting to bring him in. Everybody was really pumped that they got Bill O'Brien. A little bit let down when he left, but then here comes Chip Kelly, and it's like, hey, okay, we're good. Yeah, we're good. So that's crazy that they picked him up like that, but we'll take it, man. It's going to be fun to see what he can do with those young quarterbacks and all those weapons they have at Ohio State.
Yeah, you and I did talk about that a little bit last time, but and I said this as well, but no offense to Bill O'Brien, but I think Ohio State traded up, to be honest.
I mean, they might have. But they're
Chip
both,
Kelly's fantastic.
They're both similar in terms of their experiences: college head coach, NFL head coach, offensive coordinators, quarterbacks, coaches. I mean, they're all their resumes are very, very similar. So I don't think they might have traded up as far as that goes, but that's exciting. And the other exciting thing is Jim Knowles did not get hired away, and he might have signed. He might have signed a little bit of an extension. So I think if you look at that, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, I think that Ohio State, and this probably is obvious, they ended up with that combination of two coaches are maybe top 3 or 4 in the country as far as that goes in terms of their experience, knowledge, and the success rate.
Yeah, I would have to throw Notre Dame in there as well. Mike Denbrock and Al Golden, defensive, offensive coordinators. And I would definitely throw Ohio State in there. Knowles has been impressive, and I've always been impressed with Chip Kelly, especially when he was at Oregon. I think their offenses were absolutely unbelievable.
Yep.
They were a machine when he was out there. But very interesting, Mike. I read this. I have no clue if there is any truth to this at all, but I read that Caleb Downs possibly is going to leave Ohio State. Did you see that? Is there any truth to that?
I saw it. It was from a Notre Dame blogger.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that.
I did. After you told me that, I went, I didn't hear that. So I did a little scouring of the internet, and I couldn't find anything on there other than that one tweet that literally did come from either a Notre Dame or a Michigan blogger. I have no idea where that came from. I've looked at multiple news stories that have come out the last 2 or 3 days concerning him, and I would be shocked why.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's probably one of those garbage idiot tweets.
Somebody trying to get a click.
Yeah.
Is what happens, right? But that would be awful if it happened, because that dude is a superstar, a dominant player at his position, and I don't know where he could go to get more money. I don't even know if he can. Can you transfer once and then transfer? Coaches can do that till they.
There's no oversight, so I would imagine you could.
But aren't there rules around how many times you can transfer still today, even with the draft?
It doesn't seem
portal?
like that there's any rules right now, Mike.
Yeah.
But that was interesting. I would be shocked if he would leave Ohio State.
He was a freshman last year, right?
Yeah,
so he's got to stay 2 more years. He's got to stay through his junior year.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, he's a 2-year guy at Ohio State. He's very, very good, and I don't think he's leaving.
No, I don't either. That was the only thing I saw. There was no follow-up to it, so I don't think that that story has any validity to it at all.
Let's hope not.
No, Mike wanted to do something fun today. I wanted you and I both, let's go over our top favorite sports movies.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be, a drama. I guess you could throw a comedy in there if you want.
Absolutely, you better, because those are some of my favorites.
Well, let's go. Let's do it. Why don't we'll start at the bottom and go up.
I know you're number 1 already, so it doesn't even.
Well, you might be surprised. You might be surprised.
Okay.
Well, let's start at your 5th, and then we'll go up to number 1.
I almost have to write these down to make sure I.
Or do you want me to start?
I'll go. I'll go with my 5th. You start.
I'm going to start with Major League. I'm going to start with Major League comedy. Charlie Sheen, Tom Berenger. That movie was absolutely fantastic.
Went to the movie theater to see it and never laughed so hard in my life. And I've watched it probably 10 or 15 times since then. That was absolutely hilarious. One thing right after the other. And being a big Indians fan, it even made it more funny for me. But everything about that movie was great.
I absolutely love that movie. And you're right. If it comes on, I'm watching it. It's one of those movies where if you come across it, you're going to sit there and watch it. But just one of my all-time favorites. So I'll have that one at number 5.
So I'll go with the comedy too, and I'm not sure it's 5 for me, but we'll just go with that for the sake of the conversation. And it's something I've watched a million times and I laughed at it a million times, and that's Caddyshack. I absolutely.
Yeah, Caddyshack's a classic.
I've maybe watched that more than any other sports movie. Memorized lines. When it came out, I'm pretty sure I went to the movie theater and have watched it a million times since then. And the stories, they do those backstory things on like the biography channel or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like 2 hours long with commercials. So they did one on Caddyshack, and I heard some stories on that.
They just partied the whole time, didn't
they? They did. And the interesting thing about the really quick story for me is I lived in Fort Lauderdale for 5 years, and when I was living down, actually a suburb of Fort Lauderdale called Sunrise, I golfed at the two courses multiple times that they filmed that at. Didn't know one of them. I walked in to the pro shop for the first time, Sunrise Country Club, and I looked over in the corner, and here was that dummy, in the clubhouse wearing the same clothes that Ronnie Dangerfield had on, right? Remember that scene when they were in there?
Yeah.
It was the pro shop scene. It was the pool scene. They were all filmed at Sunrise Country Club. I did not know that. It was shortly after the movie had been made, and I walked in there, looked over and saw that thing, and I looked at the guy running the cash register. He goes, "Yep, that's the Caddyshack dummy." And then he proceeded to tell me how they filmed the pro shop and the pool scenes there. The pool was not even being used at the time. They had to fix it up and fill it up. And yes, Caddyshack is all time, man.
Absolutely classic. All right, number 4, I'm going to go with Rocky. Great movie. Just It had it all. It had the big sports moments, the lead up, the drama. Very emotional at times. Loved that first Rocky. Good movie.
I do too. Don't know if I have it in my top 5, but definitely an all-time great. I didn't really much. I don't think I watched any of the ones after that. Actually, to be honest with you.
Really?
I heard 2 was good, but then 3 through 10 weren't as
3
good.
through 10.
I'm gonna go with Field of Dreams. Loved that movie.
Very
Baseball
good.
guy.
Very good one.
Growing up and playing through high school and everything.
I considered that one.
That movie was spectacular, and I've watched it 3 or 4 times at least, probably, and really liked it.
Yeah, that's a great movie. Absolutely. I mean, if not in the top 5, it's certainly top 10. Mike, I'm going to go with this one. This one was kind of in the news last week because, they always send kind of tweets and stories out when you reach the date, but Miracle.
You're still in one of mine, yeah.
Miracle.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought Kurt Russell did a fantastic job portraying Herb Brooks. And, boy, you talk about one of the greatest locker room pregame speeches. If that was word for word or verbatim, it was just absolutely fantastic.
It was word for word. I've seen it in writing. In fact, I saw it tweeted last week, and then was it last year or a couple years ago, there was a video that went viral, some like 8-year-old dressed up like Herb Brooks. Herb Brooks. Yeah, Herb Brooks or
it's Herb Brooks, yeah.
And I was going to say Kirk Russell, but dressed up like them, and he had it down, not just word for word, but inflections and the whole thing. He was spectacular, and that speech was one of the best of all time. And that movie was spectacular. And some people still today, I think, don't know that was a semifinal game. That wasn't even the gold round game, that gold medal game. That was a semifinal game. They had to beat Finland after that to win the gold medal.
And they struggled early in that game.
They did, but. Yeah, that was spectacular. Played hockey for 5 years myself, organized hockey, loved every minute of it. And so I loved that movie, and I loved Kurt Russell's performance in it, and it was spectacular.
Yeah, it was really good. All right, Mike, yours?
I'm going to go with Hoosiers, kind of along the same lines as of what you're talking about as far as like a Cinderella story and, a famous coach making great speeches and all that stuff. Hoosiers was when I first saw it, I'm like, man, this is just absolutely awesome. Can't believe it really happened, right? It was based on a true story.
Yeah.
And so loved Gene Hackman in that. Loved everything about it. They did a great job with that, making you feel like you were going back in time and being with them in the locker room and all the, the clothes that they wore, the uniforms and the gyms they played in. It was just fantastic and one of my all-time favorites.
They absolutely did a phenomenal job, and that movie was so good, and I just love it. That's another one, Mike, where if it's on, you're going to end up watching it. And I, believe it or not, we're going to maybe get into this a little bit later, but I thought Gene Hackman was phenomenal. I think he proved what a versatile actor he is in that role. Because you would swear that he was a basketball coach after watching that.
Yes.
I mean, he was so good in that movie. Just another great movie. So let's see. Next on my list, my number 2, you're not going to believe it, Mike.
It's not number 1?
My number 2 is Rudy.
Yeah.
I just love that. That's another movie that all these, I guess I should just say, is you're going to stop and watch it, or at least some of it, when you come across it on the channels. But great movie, great story. Uh, I've seen the actual Rudy Rudiger speak, and he does admit that Hollywood embellished a little bit on the story, but they do that.
That's okay. Yeah,
they do that all the
absolutely.
time, just to
Absolutely.
make it a little bit more exciting. But the core of it is true, and it's such a great movie. That one again runs the gamut of all emotions, but just a great movie about the underdog. I
It's
think.
an underdog movie that everybody loves. And not saying I didn't like it. I definitely did. Watched it multiple times. I loved it as well. And, you know, um, I can't think of his name who played him.
Oh, it's Sean Astin.
Yes, I saw him a few times and a few other things after that, but he didn't really like, I thought after that movie, he would like be like this real famous actor or something, but he didn't. He's done some stuff. I've seen him around, but, that was by far and away his biggest role.
Yeah, I agree. I think he was in Lord of the Rings, and then when he was younger, he was in. Oh shoot, I'm not gonna. Goonies.
Goonies.
But that was a
Yes.
kids film. But you're right. He hasn't done anything major. He was in Stranger Things, that Netflix series.
Yeah, that's probably where I saw him because wasn't all that long ago, and I was a little bit surprised to see him show up there. But Goonies.
Yeah, but yeah, he did a really nice job playing the role of Rudy Rudiger. All right, Mike, you're number 2.
Well, I mean, it's in my top 5. I'm not ranking them, 5 to 1, just my top 5. But I loved The Natural with Robert Redford.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Movie. I loved that movie, and he was. It wasn't true. It wasn't based on a true story, obviously, but that whole story. Was fantastic, and he was good in it. He might have won an Academy Award for that. But if you haven't seen it, and I'm sure most people have, The Natural is one of my top 5.
Yeah, that's a good one. Definitely a good one. That one didn't come to my mind, but
Yep.
I will agree with you on that one. That's a very good one. And Mike, my number 1 is Hoosiers. We already talked
Yep.
about that, obviously, but I have actually, I don't know if you've done this, but I have actually been over to, they call it the Hoosiers
Yeah, I
Gym,
have
but
not.
it's over near Indianapolis.
I got a T-shirt from there with Jimmy Chitwood shooting the ball.
Oh, yeah.
And it says, "I'll make it, coach," or whatever that famous quote is. So, yeah, I want to go up there someday. I'd love to take our team somehow. I know they do that. They let high school teams come in there and play real games, and
They will.
definitely want to do that someday with our guys and make that trip up there. Just obviously, got to find a plane partner to agree to do that. But that place looks really phenomenal.
It is a really cool experience. We did it, I don't know, it was probably, going on 10 years now. When we did it, we went over to Indianapolis, and then on our way home, stopped at the Hoosiers Gym. It's about a half hour east of Indianapolis, and, probably about an hour and a half from here, from our home. But you talk about an experience. You just kind of walk in there, and you're like, oh, my God, I can't believe I'm standing here where they filmed this movie. It's kind of funny because it's smaller than you would think. And it's really tight on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And it's all painted gray in there, just like the movie. And we got to go in the locker room. And I'm thinking of actually doing a video on that sometime soon. So maybe we'll
cool.
do that. But just a really cool experience. But I have to say that is, and it's splitting hairs maybe, because I love all these movies. But that is probably my all-time favorite.
Yeah, in my top 5, and I'm going to give you 2 because I can't decide which one I want to go with.
Okay.
Slapshot, which just absolutely cracked me up. Have you seen
I have
it?
never seen it.
Oh, my God. Go to your Netflix thing and search it out and watch it. Paul Newman. They say it is the most realistic movie ever made about hockey. I mean, and maybe even sports in terms of minor league hockey, not major league. It's minor league stuff. It's fantastic.
Is that the one with the Hanson brothers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The triplets with the glasses on.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude, you got to watch that. I can't believe you haven't seen that.
I have not seen that.
And then the other one that I like and I want to mention is Bull Durham. I think that was
Another comedy.
that was fantastic. I loved that movie.
And that one came out kind of around the same time that Major League did.
Yeah, probably. I think I was just looking there. I think Bull Durham was in the late '80s, maybe something like that, 1988. Major League was probably early '80s. Is that right? Yeah, but close, very close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Told two totally different stories. Bull Durham, again, minor league baseball team story. Kevin Costner's in that one also, and I've got to go down to Durham and see the stadium down there, and that movie was spectacular. And so, but Tim, you got to see Slapshot.
Well, I've seen bits and pieces, but I've
You'll
never
die.
seen the whole movie
You'll
through,
die
so
laughing.
maybe I should watch that.
It's
I had an honorable mention one, Mike, too. I don't know if you remember this movie or not, but Mark Wahlberg starred in it. It was called Invincible when he made the Philadelphia Eagles as a walk-on.
yes.
Have you seen that
Yes,
movie?
Vinny
yeah,
something.
I can't remember.
Free agent.
Yes.
It's actually based on a true story, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Vince Papali or Papali?
Yeah,
or
was he a kick returner? Or
He
a punt
returned and he
returner
was
or
a
something?
receiver, but
Yeah.
he was really fast.
Yeah, Vinny.
And
definitely saw that. That was good.
that was a really good
That
one.
was a good
So, yeah, that was my honorable mention
Love
one.
it. Love it. Saw all of them.
Yeah, really good movies. But if I would recommend, if you're in kind of the Ohio, Indiana, Indianapolis area, it is worth the trip to go to that Hoosiers gym. I give them a call though, because I don't think they're always open, but if they know you're coming, they'll make sure
So,
they're
do
there.
you know what a Hoosier is?
And
Have any idea?
Someone who lives in Indiana?
I mean, is that it? I mean, where does that term come from? Like, if you live in Ohio, you're a Buckeye. We all know what a Buckeye is.
I'm
What
not
the heck's
sure
a
where.
Hoosier?
Next time, Mike, next show, I will have the answer to that question.
Who's your daddy?
Absolutely.
I don't know. It's we need to look that one up.
All right, Mike, before we wrap up the show today, I wanted to do our kind of a usual fun thing that we do on the show. Yes, no, maybe. I make a statement, and Mike determine whether we agree, disagree, or possibly agree with the statement. So let's go ahead and dive right into that, Mike. First statement today. They say this is a good one for you, I think. They say that baseball. They say that baseball is the great American pastime, but it has been replaced by mowing the lawn.
Well, we're getting ready to start a new season.
Yes.
The new gear is out.
TMFL.
TNML, Thursday Night Mowing League. Got a new shirt. It says "Make Lawns Great Again" with an American flag on it, but it's like a painted, like stripes from a yard.
Oh, very creative. Well done.
I didn't do it, but I'll probably buy one. You can't say baseball isn't still America's greatest pastime. They've sped the game up. We had John Sadak in last week to talk a little bit about that. I think they've trimmed a half hour out of the game with the changes they made with the pitch clock and all that stuff, and pitching changes and all that. So, yeah, that's always going to be the America's pastime. But mowing grass and then having a cold beer afterwards is a close second.
Listening to a baseball game.
Yeah. Mow the grass, listen to the baseball game on your patio, and drink a cold beer. That is absolutely Americana right there.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with the statement, but I agree that it's all woven in the fabric of listening to a baseball game. It's a Saturday thing to do. Just get the grass cut, pop on the Reds, and enjoy your afternoon.
Yeah, it's great. It's fun, and a lot of people take a lot of pride in what their yards look like, and that's all part of it. And then you get the chance to sit and listen to a radio.
Self included.
Yes, you'd have a great yard. You've done a great job.
I love cutting the grass.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Mike, this goes back a little bit to what we were talking about before. I said that we might touch on this again, but Gene Hackman is the most versatile actor of all time.
Boy, he's done a lot of different things, hasn't he? He's one of them. There's no doubt about it. So I go with maybe because there might be somebody out there that's more versatile. And man, he's played a ton of different roles and parts in movies. I love Gene Hackman. Is he still with us?
The last thing I heard was that he was living in Florida, and he's getting up there. I mean, I think he's got to be 90,
Yeah,
maybe, 89, 90.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's in that neck of the woods. But loved Gene Hackman in every movie I ever saw him in, and so he's pretty versatile. He's right up there. So if there's somebody else out there, I can't think of him off the top of my head, but I'd say maybe he could be the most versatile actor ever.
I'm going to say yes. I just think he's phenomenal, and you're right. I mean, everything that he does, he's believable. You never feel like he's reaching. You never feel like he's really uncomfortable. And the thing that he is portraying, I just think he's phenomenal.
He's been a good guy, a bad guy. He's been in the military. He's been a lawyer. He's been
a coach.
A great coach.
Yeah.
He's done it all.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Here's a good one. Prince had the best all-time performance during the halftime of the Super Bowl.
Oh, my God. Why are you asking me this? Because, first of all, I don't remember the last time I even watched halftime.
Oh, God.
I usually switch it over to the Puppy Bowl.
It's terrible.
I've heard them say that, so I'll go with yes, but I have no idea. Yeah. I can't remember it, to be honest with you.
There have been some good ones, and there literally have been some bad ones, but I think his was pretty good. Tom Petty, I thought, was very good.
Oh, I'll go with Tom Petty.
Bruce Springsteen was good, and you're not going to believe this, but I thought that Lady Gaga was actually pretty good.
She's a great performer.
I mean, she was really good.
No doubt about it. She's a great performer, but I've honestly can say I've not sat through a whole Super Bowl halftime, and so I can't tell you, but I've heard them talk about Prince, and he put on a really good show too.
He was very
talented. Would not
talented.
Be surprised if that's not true. So
yeah,
I'll go yes.
I'm going to go yes too. But there were some other good ones, but boy, there were some awful ones too. So I think it's way overrated. They always shorten songs and play as many as they can. I'd rather see them do maybe 4 or 5 of their top songs and do the whole song. But that's my own personal opinion.
Yeah. Too much about that.
I told you it was going to be a fun one.
Yes, sir.
All right, number 4 and final before we wrap up the show today.
We only have 4?
Yeah, just 4 today. This is a good one because I think this is very timely, and maybe we'll have some good discussion on this one. But Nick Saban will have a greater impact on college athletics as a retired former coach / analyst than he did as an active head football coach.
I'm just going to say no, but he's going to have an impact. It sounds like with some of the things that he's come out and said this week that he really wasn't allowed to say when he was the head coach at Alabama. He's going to have an impact, just a different one. But will he have a bigger impact as a non-coach? I don't think so, unless he's becomes president and runs the larger football league that eventually will be developed for all the Power Fives. I don't think he's going to do that. So. But he's going to have an impact, and I think it's going to be not because he's a commentator or on game day, but he's going to be very vocal and maybe organize a little bit of a movement to make some positive changes from a football perspective, especially when it comes to the NIL and the portal. I keep saying draft portal. The portal. But I don't know if he's going to have dude had a major impact on football, man. I mean, he is the best, the greatest of all time. There's no doubt about that. And
can't argue that.
I don't know if he can do more than that as off the field, but I hope he has a positive impact and makes some changes. He has obviously the credence, people. He's very trustworthy. Everybody likes him. He's got some influence. I hope it, and it sounds like he might be using that to help make some changes.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I'm going to go with maybe. I'm going to probably add I hope to that. I just think that there is absolutely no oversight, no control, nothing. There is. It is like the Wild West right now. There's no control, no oversight into any of this. It's out of control, and I hope that he remains vocal and he keeps offering his opinion and suggestions and ideas, and that we can get some sort of control over this, because we're going to ruin it. It's going to get ruined, and that would be just an absolute shame.
Got one for you. I don't mean
Is
to.
this a
I'm not
yes,
gonna,
no, maybe, or is this
a yes, no, maybe? And I don't want to get too political about it, but
Yeah,
because
boy.
it interests me so much, just in terms of watching all of this unfold. Will it be Trump versus Biden in November? Yes,
who
no,
knows
maybe.
if Biden's going to be able to walk by then, but
And Trump won't
I
be
think
in
it's
jail.
definitely going to be Trump.
He's not in jail, or if he's not,
Yeah.
wherever he's at.
I saw him talk one time, and he was, of course, talking about something, but he said, he goes, I got 5,600 DAs after my ass. And it was the funniest thing. It was just so funny to see him say that, but it's outrageous. I mean, the whole thing is just...
Again, not wanting to get too political, but why can't we find people more qualified than that in this country to want to lead us?
Nobody wants the anal exam.
I guess.
Nobody wants
Yeah.
to go through all this, which is amazing that he's still out there fighting. I mean, I can't believe that he has the intestinal fortitude to put up with all this stuff. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's a sad state of affairs.
It really is. Well, folks, that's going to wrap it up for us today. We had a really fun show. Mike, appreciate you joining me.
Absolutely.
We got a big week coming up.
We do.
The boys have a game on Monday.
It's the best time of the year, Tim. It kicks off the best time of the year. It leads us into March Madness, and then it really gets fun, right?
Absolutely. They're going to take on Shawnee, and then I will be up in Covington on Tuesday to cover the girls. You, if you're listening and you want to plug into those, you go to GameCastSports.com, and you'll see the links there, and you can join the broadcast.
Yeah, I think that would be outstanding. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Mike, have a great Saturday. Again,
You too.
appreciate you joining the show. Thank you all, folks. On your way out, please subscribe to the channel. That would help us out, and we'll see you next time on Gamecast Radio Sports Talk.
So long, everybody.